Hello and welcome to the Football Fence. Today's show will talk about the weekend's football that contained the Hammers getting hammered, Al Habsi's absolute howler, mighty Millwall, FA Cup win for the Foxes, suckish Stoke, the Gunning Gunners, crowdless Cardiff, well played Plymouth, Terry's return, Spurs leave it late, and the real records. Okay, starting off the podcast, we'll touch on Friday night's game, West Ham versus Man City, and what a poor performance from West Ham. That was their sixth straight home defeat, considering last year they only lost four home games in the whole of the season on all competitions. That is crazy stuff. What is happening there, West Ham? And I know they got a new stadium this season, but they cannot use that as an excuse. You see, when it goes past the 80th minute, 75th minute, the place is flaming half empty, and is that the reason why they're doing so badly? It's because the team is not getting behind, or the fans are not getting behind this team. If you're a West Ham fan out there, and if you go to a lot of the West Ham fan games, get behind the team, get a song started, Forever Blowing Bubbles, whatever else you sing. Just start create an atmosphere and really get behind the team, and that will be a big improvement to West Ham, and that's what they need. But on Friday night, you have to give credit to Man City. You could not stop them. To be fair, I thought West Ham, Fake Hooley should have put them, or should have equalised, got them back in the game, make it 1-1. That would have been a completely different game, but he was unlucky not to score. But Man City were just on fire on Friday night, and probably, in my opinion, the best thing about that game was the Spider-Man pitching phaser at the end. How cool was that? Can't you tell I got news for you? The sun is shining and so are you. Moving on to the Saturday afternoon game, Manchester United versus Reading, and what a historic game that was for their captain Wayne Rooney. Obviously equaling Bobby Charlton's 249 goals. Credit to Rooney though, because Charlton did the 249 4 season longer than it took Rooney. Rooney's took only 543 games to match his record. So it's basically on to Liverpool now on Sunday. Can Rooney beat Charlton's record? I don't think he'll score against Liverpool, and I hope he doesn't, but I definitely will from now until he retires. He'll definitely beat Sir Bobby Charlton's record. Okay, maybe move on and touch on the fourth goal from Man United. Marcus Rashford's second of the game. Absolute present to him. It's just on a plate for Marcus Rashford. Al Habsi, what was he doing? He passes it to his defender. I'm not sure what his name was. And he gives it back to the Reading goalkeeper, and he goes to clear. Like, Marcus Rashford puts a lot of pressure on him, and he goes to clear it, but it hits off his right boot, making Al Absi miskick the ball and pretty much hand it straight to Marcus Rashford. So he'll just tap it in and score second of the game. You'll get that in the lower leagues, definitely not the Premier League. You don't see that often then. And the same, believe it or not, I think it was Sheffield Wednesday, the same thing happened to them. Their goalkeeper had an absolute howler. What a crazy nightmares for the Championship goalkeepers. But Man United on Saturday was incredible. I enjoyed watching it, even as a Liverpool fan. I enjoyed watching them. They played really well, and the game ended 4-0. Rooney getting the first one, Martial getting the second, and the other two, 3 and 4th, came from Marcus Rashford, moving on to the mighty Millwall. 3-0 Millwall against AFC Bournemouth. Who would have thought that would have ended to 3-0 Millwall? Definitely the shock of the round. But going into the game, Bournemouth looked like they were strong, but looking at the lineup, they made 11 changes. Rest in peace whoever put on a bet on Bournemouth, because I bet you as soon as when you did that and when the lineup was announced, you were really questioning yourself, why did you go Bournemouth? And the result proved why did you go Bournemouth. And a 3-0 Morrison, Cummings, and of course the Northern Irishman Shane Ferguson wrapping off the game to make it 3-0. But what I noticed in the press conference of Eddie Howe, he did put his hands up and say he did make a mistake. I'll quote him here. He did say, I thought that, or I put out this team because I thought they were I can't get the words. They were capable of beating Millwall, but they obviously weren't. And it's good that he puts his hands up saying it was his fault, and he did put out a team that did absolutely get thrashed in the end. But the debate is, did Eddie Howe go against the magic of the FA Cup? We know all these magic FA Cup, and you do it in the League Cup, you put out your youth team, but not in the FA Cup. You stick with your strong teams, come up, even if you're against lower opposition. The debate is, did Eddie Howe ruin that? Even Jurgen Klopp, did he do that as well? Did he ruin the magic of the FA Cup? But you cannot, what is Bournemouth resting their players for? You cannot expect to put out youth going into the Den and not try and get a win, because Millwall, A, they're a really rough team, B, it's a lower league side who, if they got through to the next round, would do absolute wonders for them, even if it's against a Premier League side and who they were facing. They will try their hardest to get through the next round and try and pull off the shock of the round, which, hats off to Millwall, they did. There was an FA Cup win for the Foxes. Yes, Leicester won 2-1 over Everton. Obviously coming from a goal behind at Goodison Park. Lukaku put Everton into the lead, and then Musa, of course, getting that double them 2 goals in a quick succession, really. 5 minutes. Lukaku scored in the 63rd, and Musa scored in the 66th and then the 71st. It was a really ship-shaped game, really. The most exciting period was definitely the 60th minute when them 2 goals came, and then obviously another goal came 2 minutes after the 60th period had finished. So that was basically the most exciting bit of the game. Lukaku had a tap in to put Everton into the lead, and Everton has not won the FA Cup for 40 years, wasn't it? It was 40 years, I think it was, and I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but I think it's 40 years, and Leicester have never won the FA Cup. How good would it be if Leicester won the FA Cup this season? They won the league last year, and it'd be pretty good if they were go on and to win the FA Cup this year. But we're miles away from it, and yeah, the question is Ronald Koeman, is he the right man Everton needed? Because in my opinion, I think Ronald Koeman should have stayed at Southampton. Look at the dream, or look at the team and all that he built, and just look at them last season. Got Europa League and all, finished 6th, was it? Absolutely amazing job they did, and I think he should have stayed at Southampton. Even Southampton are missing him now. Just look at how Southampton are doing now. They've been terribly recently, and they obviously drew 2-2 with Norwich City.
We say nothing more than we need.
Another shock of the round was Stoke City at the Britannia versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. I have to say, personally, the man of the match definitely went to Carl Akimi, the guy in the middle of the goal. What a day he was having. Stoke, it just wasn't their day because Carl Akimi, he was absolutely amazing. The amount of saves he pulled off to actually pretty much win the tie for Wolverhampton was incredible. It was slightly worrying that the result was 2-0 and the fact that Stoke only rested one player, which was Joe Allen. I was kind of worrying that their main strong first team are losing to a championship side, which in my opinion aren't doing well in the championship, that they should be at the minute. But hats off to Matt Doherty. What a strike that was. What a free kick. That was a brilliant strike from Wolves, and hats off to them, really. They pulled off a great result, and now they face Liverpool or Plymouth. And if you're wondering why I just brought up these three Pacific 3 o'clock kick-offs, it was because of Paul Merson on Sky Sports and Soccer Saturday. Before them 3 games, they said that Stoke, Everton and Bournemouth would be the dark horses of the tournament, that they would do really well in this tournament, and all 3 teams get knocked out. How great is that? Paul Merson, oh, that was so funny when I heard that he said by them 3. So just dance. And in my opinion, the tie of the round, Preston versus Arsenal at the Deep Dale. Obviously, or not tie of the round, sorry, the game of the round. It was probably the best game. If you're gonna watch a game back, you would probably watch Preston Arsenal, especially right at the end. It was great. It was great play, really. Great game, great finish to it. But I feel for Preston. They're at the minute, it hasn't been going well for at the season. It hasn't been going well, really. They've only picked up an odd few wins in the championship, and they really looked like they were going to pull off a shock against Arsenal, and they nearly very, very close to. And to be honest, they should have been about 3-0 at Preston. They took the lead of Robinson on the 7th minute, and they just kept on attacking. They didn't sit back. They were going for it. They were attacking like mad, and they should have been 3-0 up, but they were just very unlucky not to get more goals. And obviously the second half came, and that was bang. That was Arsenal. Aaron Ramsey scored 46th minute straight after extra time. That was them firing. Wenger must have had the team talk of his life. They just bolted out, and they just knew that they were coming home with the win. They were not going into the replay at the Emirates, or they were not losing the tie, or going back to the Emirates for another game against Preston. And what a way to break a lower league side's hearts. It's just a score in the 89th minute to pretty much lose Preston the game and to win it for Arsenal. If you were a Preston fan, that would have brought tears to your eyes. But Preston fans, you need to look at it this way. You should be proud of that performance against one of the top teams in England in that league. That you should be proud of that performance.
Now move your hips and dance like fish.
Okay, moving on to Sunday's games. Cardiff City were held by a 2-1 defeat to Fulham at home at a very empty Cardiff City stadium. I actually was quite interested to see why you could basically hear the net rattled when each team scored. And apparently, in recent years, Cardiff City has actually had really low turnout to the FA Cup, and which also didn't help. It was 11:30 on a Sunday morning. I could not believe that, and instead of a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, because if it was a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, there would have been a lot more than 5,000 in the Cardiff City Stadium. I was interested to hear the press conference of Neil Warnock. He said that he actually struggled to get out of bed to go and watch the team, and he actually expected to be he thought there would be 1,000 less than 5,000 in that stadium. Moving on into the actual game, Cardiff did take the lead. Anthony Pilkington, they took the lead in the 8th minute from an absolute poor and horrendous free kick. It hits off the wall and takes a major deflection into the other side of the net and goes in. The birthday boy, Johansson, he equalises on 7 minutes later. 7 minutes later, Johansson, the birthday boy, equalises. And yeah, the 16-year-old Sassignon, and he gets the winner on the 33rd minute. So baby, pull me closer in the backseat of your Rover. Liverpool couldn't defeat that Plymouth bus, or Liverpool just couldn't find their shooting boots on Sunday, as it did end 0-0, and the only 0-0 it was not the only 0-0, because Sunderland and Burnley was 0-0, but Liverpool definitely could not find their shooting boots on Sunday. 28 shots, Liverpool had 4 on target. 28 shots, 4 only on target, while Plymouth had 4 shots, 1 on target. But that's a crazy stat. 28 shots, 4 on target. And they had Origi and Sturridge up front too. They did make 10 changes going into this game. I think the only non-change was Divock Origi, him standing on the side, that played against Sunderland. Maybe I'm wrong, because I think it could be it could have been Emery Chan, but I don't really know who that just the one non-change was. But the Liverpool did have a lot of youngsters playing, and Klopp, people, as going back to Eddie Howe and what he did, there people are questioning Klopp as well about that same thing. Is he ruining it? But I don't know. Personally, I don't understand why Eddie Howe did it, but I can kind of understand why Jurgen Klopp did it, because on Wednesday night he does play Southampton in a semi-final, and he's second in the league, so he needs to rest players if he wants to to stay in the top 4 pretty much, and to try and get a cup glory. If they beat Southampton, they're in that final, of course. But I've nothing really to say about this. Hats off to Plymouth. They defended really superbly on Sunday, and they have really earned a replay, and that replay will do wonders for Plymouth. Probably do even more wonders than them actually won that game first, because to bring a big Premier League side down to your wee small stadium, it will bring in a lot of revenue, and basically, and who says they can't beat them down there? Like, anything can happen. Terry's return And whatever turn that was for John Terry, straight red, and it did cause a lot of debate if it was a red card or not. But me personally, I think it was a red. If you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out. But it definitely was a red for me because although John Terry may not have touched the Peterborough attacker, he still stopped him from having a goal scoring opportunity. So John Terry knew that red was coming, and to be honest, it definitely was a red card. I don't know why there's even a debate about it, because Ivanovic was nowhere near the defender, and Peterborough, they could have scored from that opportunity. So yeah, that's the red card. For end of 4-1 though, and I was listening to a press conference. One of the Peterborough players said that they knew from the start that they weren't going to just sit back and defend. They were actually going to push Chelsea, and quite frankly, at times they could have scored. They could have scored, but they were just unlucky hitting it over the bar, or just missing the target, or Courtois saving it. But obviously Pedro put them in the lead. 18 minutes gone, and it was 1-0 Chelsea. They put them in the lead. Batshuayi, I've just definitely said that wrong, put them 2 in front with the 44th minute. Willian made it 3 on the 52nd minute, and was the comeback on Tom Nichols on the 70th minute, made it 3-1, but then Pedro 5 minutes later killed the game off and finished it with a 4-1 victory to the Premier League leaders in England. The Premier League leaders. And maybe it might have gone better if Peterborough actually sat back than let pretty much Chelsea's 3 attackers torture their defence. And obviously the red card did not make a difference. It was 34 shots to Peterborough's 12, and 12 on target for Chelsea, while Peterborough had 3. But yeah, the red cards did not seem to make a difference, and that was a big win for the league leaders. It was the Dele Alli show on Sunday evening. It was 2-0 Tottenham had finished, but as soon as Dele Alli came on, Villa just knew it was not heading to a replay, and they were not going through in the FA Cup, because Dele Alli, what a difference that young man makes to Spurs. I can see why Barcelona and Real Madrid are after him, and quite frankly, I think he's good enough to play for the likes of Barca and Real Madrid. But if I was him at the minute, I would stick for Tottenham. I would stick playing for Tottenham for probably another season. You never know. You see, if Tottenham keep this kid, if Tottenham keep Dele Alli, I think that they could be serious title contenders, and they are in the title race now, and I don't think they can do it without Dele Alli. He's just quite frankly their best player, and he proved that against Chelsea. A team that was for that game had 13 wins and needed to win that game on last Wednesday to get the record, and he stopped them single-handedly, and he was amazing on Sunday evening to get a couple of assists. Ben Davies goal, 71st minute Ben Davies goal, brilliant header from the Welshman, and Son on the 80th minute. That was another quite good goal from Spurs. And yeah, that wraps up our FA Cup coverage.
I think you're always in 2 minds, and it's forever that way.
And just before this podcast ends, I would have liked to mention it, and really mention Real Madrid at the minute. What form they are on. 39 games undefeated. Just incredible. And a few of them games, if it wasn't for Sergio Ramos and if it wasn't for their late goals, they would not be 39 games undefeated. But as people say, in football it is about luck, and that's how you win the league. You win the league and you do really well by getting kind of lucky and scoring very late on, and getting stuff that you would never think you would ever get in football. But that's what I really wanted to say to wrap up the podcast. It was Real Madrid's unbelievable 39 game undefeated streak, and can they make it 40 on the weekend? That would be quite amazing. But we'll find out on next week's podcast if they have broke that record or not. And yeah, so that's it for a wrap. Thanks for listening to the Football Fence. This was your presenter Joe, and yeah, I hope you're stay tuned for next week's